Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to take a nice, slow, unhurried walk back in time today. We're exploring William Sarion's absolute classic, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. It's this incredibly beautiful tale all about childhood innocence, deeply rooted family values, and, well, one truly magnificent horse.
I want you to imagine a time when you were just 9 years old. Back in those good old days when the world was full of, every imaginable kind of magnificence. Picture a time when life felt exactly like a delightful, mysterious dream. Because that is exactly how our young narrator Aram felt when he was suddenly woken up at 4 in the morning.
Tell me something. What's your absolute fondest, maybe even most mischievous childhood memory? I mean, isn't it true that the most memorable days of our youth usually kicked off with just a little bit of harmless mischief? This story beautifully captures that exact universal feeling we've all experienced at some point. So picture this scene. It's 4 a.m., total silence outside. Then, a sudden tap on Aram's window. He looks out, and there's his cousin Morad, a boy literally everyone in the family considers to be completely crazy. And there he is, sitting calmly atop a breathtakingly beautiful white horse. In that pre-dawn white, Aram simply cannot believe his own eyes.
Now, to understand why seeing this horse is such a massive shock, you really have to understand their family, the Garocalanians. They are amazingly comically poor. I mean, nobody even knows how they manage to keep food in their bellies. Yet, much like many traditional joint families we might know, their pride and their honesty are absolute. They've been famous for this strict honesty for 11 centuries. A Garocalanian simply could not be a thief. No way.
So how exactly does a boy from such an honest family justify taking a horse? Well, we see Aram performing those classic mental gymnastics kids do when they really want something. He convinces himself that borrowing a horse just for a joyride isn't actually stealing, right? It would only be stealing if they tried to sell the horse for profit. And of course, being so utterly crazy about horses, they would never ever do that.
Throwing all caution to the wind, Aram leaps onto the horse right behind Morad, and they just take off. You can almost feel that incredible rush of early morning air as the horse stands on its hind legs, snorts, and bursts into a beautiful, furious sprint across the dry grass and irrigation ditches. It's just pure, unfiltered joy.
You might wonder, where does Morad get this fearless, slightly crazy spirit? Well, from their Uncle Khosrav. Uncle Khosrav is this enormous, roaring man with a frankly terrible temper. No matter the crises, literally, even if his own house is on fire, he'll just roar, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." I'm sure we all have that one loud, scolding, but ultimately harmless Tauji or uncle in our own extended families, right?
But, eventually reality always comes knocking. One afternoon, a visitor arrives at Aram's house. It's John Biro, a lonely Assyrian farmer. He sits in the parlor, sipping coffee, but you can tell he is deeply heartbroken. His precious white horse was stolen a month ago. His carriage is completely useless without it, and he actually had to walk 10 miles with a bad leg just to visit. The moment Aram realizes the horse belongs to John Biro, he runs straight to Morad. He literally begs his cousin to keep the horse for a whole year so he can finally learn to ride. But right here, Morad's deep-rooted family conscience flares up. Keep it a year? Are they inviting a Gargalananian to become a thief? Never. He firmly decides the horse absolutely must go back to its true owner in 6 months at the very latest.
During these secret early morning rides, what's absolutely fascinating is Murad's gentle confidence. He repeatedly tells Aram, "I have an understanding with a horse." And he claims to have this simple, honest understanding not just with horses, but with dogs and farmers too. He just has this special, calming way of moving through the world around him. But the real test comes one morning. The tension totally peaks. The boys are leading the stolen horse to hide it in a deserted vineyard, and suddenly they walk straight into the farmer, John Biro himself, right there on the road. Murad steps forward to handle it, calmly reminding Aram that, hey, he has a way with farmers. John Biro studies the horse, literally tooth for tooth. He knows it's his horse, but then he does something truly remarkable. He looks at the boys and says, "A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart." In a deeply moving moment, John Biro chooses to trust the legendary 11th century honesty of their family. He believes his heart over his own eyes and gently bids his young friends a good day. This incredible display of grace completely disarms the boys. Just think about it. For 1 whole month, John Biro suffered the loss. For 2 weeks, the boys enjoyed their secret, exhilarating morning rides. But on that single day,
John Byro chose absolute trust over accusation. And because of that immense trust, early the very next morning, the boys quietly take the horse to Byro's vineyard and leave it in his barn, finally making things right.
Later that very afternoon, John Byro returns to Aram's house in his carriage, and he is just overjoyed. He tells them the horse is actually stronger than ever, better tempered too. This beautifully shows us that Murad's wild, loving care actually turned a childhood mistake into a strange sort of blessing. The horse didn't suffer at all, it thrived under their affection.
As we close this beautiful explainer on childhood innocence, I really want to leave you with a thought to reflect on in your own life. Is true family honor and honesty about never ever doing anything wrong? Or does it really lie in having the courage to quietly make things right in the end? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for taking this unhurried journey with me today.